It's
Um,
great.
but it does kind of suck that it's like just the same exact thing in with white leather for the women. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I could at least see that two different belts on the show. I guess it could make it a little bit better. But anyway, sorry.
Well,
Um,
also the interesting thing with that is now the newly redesigned tag titles going by the World Tag Team Championships. You're assuming the SmackDown pair is going to be the WWE Tag Team Championships. So it's
mhm.
also kind of like, are they going to just have one show is going to be all of the world titles, the other show is just going to be all like the WWE
That's the
titles?
so that is the one thing I'm almost like so swapping it. That's the one thing is like mixing them up is the one thing that could potentially make it all confusing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like that's why there's also it might just be better off just keeping them. And I also think they might like I think the tag titles they just announced are gonna stay on Raw. Like I don't think they would have debuted them on Raw if they weren't gonna stay on Raw. Does
Yeah,
that
at
make
that
sense?
point, just debut it at the draft.
Yeah, and also they have like red behind the
Yeah.
World Tag Team, which makes me think that it's probably gonna be blue behind the other, and those will be for SmackDown. So we'll see. Like it's kind of cool, but it's not. I like it though because it's not like a crimson red. It's like a
It's like a maroon.
burgundy. Yeah, it's like a burgundy. So that's why I feel like the the other ones might be nice as well. They might be like more like a navy instead of
Yeah.
like a royal, kind of like the
Like the
jersey I'm
normal,
wearing.
like baby bluish
Yeah.
kind of that is on like the SmackDown logo. But what do you think? Do you think they're going to have the same tag titles, just different name and with blue on SmackDown?
Um. Part of me thinks so, but I really hope not.
I feel like that's the most likely situation,
Yeah.
but I also feel like Triple H is the one who's going to be like, "Nah, like I'm not doing that."
Yeah, I also think there's like a really good chance. I wouldn't be shocked either way, to be honest. Um, I think the most likely thing is that they look pretty similar, but they're a little bit different. Honestly, like I think,
Circular design,
yeah, sir. Like I think they're probably still
little
circular,
blue.
a little bit of blue instead of a red,
The
and
details will be a little different
yeah,
on
maybe the
like the center
details would be a
plate.
little bit. Yeah, like honestly, like I think it'll still be similar, but when I think it'll look pretty similar from far, but when you look up close, you can tell that they're different, basically.
Yeah. Because you
Um,
don't want them like too differently, because then you're kind of like it may be a little tricky with like
yeah,
pitting them against each other. Also, what I will say really quick about the titles, and then we'll get back to the draft. I haven't seen anyone else say this, but I know I texted you about it, but I think they ditched the Velcro on all of their titles.
yeah, it does kind of seem like they might have gotten rid of the Velcro, or if it is there, they're hiding it better because you can actually see the
You
buttons
see the
on.
buttons.
Cody's definitely doesn't have Velcro anymore.
I haven't seen anyone rip it, so I
Yeah,
can't confirm or deny it. But
yeah,
I mean, it looked like Priest, his title, it had the
yeah,
buttons. The
yeah.
tag titles
Priest
had
was
the
the buttons.
buttons.
And I know I like that's just one thing I was like, you could just tell that Cody
Yeah,
didn't want that. Cody
he's
was
like,
not
dude,
about
we're
to
not
rock the
doing
vote.
this
Yeah,
shit.
Cody was not about to rock the Velcro. Uh, so that I do think Cody gets drafted to Raw. So
Agreed.
that is the one thing. I do think there's a good chance that Cody gets drafted to Raw, which means Bailey probably also gets drafted to Raw. I also think Bailey might get drafted to Raw to kind of split her from Damage Control, and then they can keep Damage Control as a thing if they want to. Because I don't know, having Bailey who just like basically just took them out on the I don't know, it almost does that make sense? Like it's almost like what does Damage Control do now, but if Bailey leaves, then it kind of gives them a fresh start. Um So I think they're gonna swap the world titles, which means I'm thinking that Liv is gonna go to um
SmackDown.
SmackDown because I think she's gonna win. I also think, yeah, I think the Judgment Day goes to SmackDown because I think they've been running Raw for a while now, and I think them moving to SmackDown would um really prevent them from getting stale without Rhea because that's going to be a struggle on its own.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll just give him a whole new, fresh set of matchups. They kind of need it. Like Judgment Day's pretty much been involved in like every storyline on Raw, so
Especially with tag teams.
That's the other thing. Like the Judgment Day has like 100% been like the main, like they're on Raw like literally 5 times a night. So, and they have been for the past like year, it feels like. So
yeah,
it almost feels like you're doing a disservice by not swapping them to just give them a better shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I think the most likely thing that's going to happen, like we talked about earlier, it kind of feels like they're going to keep both the world and WWE titles on the same show just because it's like, that's going to make more sense. Real quick, do you think there's going to be like a power struggle within Judgment Day for who's the leader? Or do you think it's just they're going to be like, Priest is the leader now?
I think we're going to start to get those. I think we're going to start to see that tension. I think we already did kind of start to see that tension with Damian, like took a lot more like charge now that he's champion, and Finn kind of asked him a question and Damian didn't really want to talk to him about it. So seems like we might be getting that direction a little bit. And it'll probably lead to a sick Damian versus Finn feud, which will be really awesome. So I guess before we call it, is there like what are we should do some NXT call up predictions for the draft.
Yeah, so I think slam dunks are Roxanne, Ilya.
So the one thing that worries me with Roxanne is the fact that she's the champion, is the fact that she just won the title.
Is she defending it? That is true, but she could also just run both for a month or 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's true. She might. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. But I agree, especially with Rhea down. Like, I can't imagine they don't bring up Roxanne now. Like, yeah,
I think Roxanne. I think Ilya Dragunov because I think he's dropping the belt
to Tony.
To Trick.
Oh, to Trick.
They're fighting at Spring Break.
Okay.
I believe that's coming up soon. I think he's getting called up. I think Carmelo Hayes slam dunk. Braun Breaker is kind of like already.
Yeah, I think Melo's probably the biggest slam dunk, but I think you're probably right with Ilya as well.
Do you think Baron Corbin?
I think there's a good chance Corbin gets drafted back to the main roster. I think this NXT rebrand has been so awesome for Baron Corbin, and I think everyone can agree. I think it's time to bring him back up, man. I think it's time to bring him back up and let him fly on the main roster.
Let him fly.
Baron Corbin, it's time. It's time to bring him up. It's time. Dude, Baron. I fucking love Baron Corbin, dude. I used to hate him so much, and I love him. As did
everybody,
dude.
So many people hated him.
I fucking love him so much.
I always had hope for him because
so did I. Like I always
finishing moves were sick, and I was like, no, all right, there's obviously something there because they wouldn't just this awful. This guy
not even hate it. I was just like, he just pissed me off because I would just be like, bro, like you're right there, but you just don't get, like, you're just missing something. And if
part of that's probably due to booking and this and that.
I don't know. It's also like it's really hard to realize, I feel like, for some of these guys that I don't know. It's like that was Corbin's first however 5 years on WWE, those were his first 5 years wrestling at all. You know what I mean? So he probably, like, he's just grown a lot over. He's been doing it for a long time now. So.
Do you think Tony
D'Angelo? No. I think he's still kind of gonna take over like NXT and win the NXT title at some point.
I think he gets called up.
You think so?
I think he's one of the guys that never wins the world title but gets called up.
I could see that too as well. Um, hmm.
Because like, what else would he do? Kind of feels like,
Win the world title.
well, yeah, but it's like, I don't know, what's he gonna do now until then?
I don't know.
He's not beating Trick for it, unless he
Trick
goes
might
full
not beat
heel.
Ilya.
Trick's beating Ilya.
We'll see.
We will see. I would be shocked if Trick doesn't beat Ilya.
I wouldn't be that shocked. Like I expect Trick to win, but I really wouldn't be that shocked.
That's loser leaves NXT, right?
No, Mello. I thought Mello versus Trick was loser leaves NXT.
Okay, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Yeah, maybe then.
I don't know though.
I just think. Wait, so if Trick loses, do you think Trick gets called up?
Nah.
Okay.
Bro, I don't even know. I've kind of talked myself into a hole here. Because for some reason I think Trick is gonna beat Ilya, but I don't think he's gonna do it on the first try. I think it's gonna take him 2 tries.
Didn't he fight Ilya before though?
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's gonna win.
Did I bring it to my side?
Yeah, he's gonna win. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And it also is just like Ilya's gonna get called up.
Yeah, because he won like the Iron Survivor thing. Trick did.
Yeah. So what NXT women do you think are getting called up? I think Gigi,
Roxanne, Gigi,
Roxanne,
Jossie, I think
Chase U.
Maybe. I'm a little worried for them on the main roster, to be honest.
Really?
I like Chase U a lot, but I don't know how well that it will get how well it'll come across.
That's fair.
On the main roster.
I think
just with with such a large crowd, essentially.
I think there's only 2 ways that's going. It's either 2 extremes. You know what I mean? Like
it's either gonna go awesome or terrible.
I think they're gonna be one of the most over things, or it's just like they're gonna like,
or no one's gonna care. Yeah,
in like 3 months. Because it feels like a very niche thing to kind of like be like.
That's my thing. I'm like, they're so niche. So I'm like, I almost
I think it's cool.
It is. It definitely is.
That being said, I haven't seen that much of them. But I do think they're sick.
There's just so many factions. That's the other thing. And it's like you bring up Chase U and put him with like, and you compare him to like Judgment Day and stuff. It's just like they like hold no and it's not like you would do that right away or anything like that anyway. But
what about Joey Gacy?
So see, that is one I think Joe Gacy is that people are sleeping on, forgetting about. But I think Joe Gacy's getting called up. I think
nice.
And I love Joe Gacy, dude, and I think he's gonna do some really cool stuff on the main roster.
Agreed. I think he's gonna be like that punch of like weird mysticness on like the main roster.
Totally.
If that makes sense. You think Sean Spears?
I would say probably not. I would say Spears probably does a little more work in NXT. But
agreed. Do you think they swap mid-card titles?
For some reason, I don't think so.
Agreed.
I'm gonna say
I don't think they would swap every title.
Yeah, it just feels like too much. Like I think the only titles that get swapped are the world titles. I think both the men
and women's world titles.
Exactly. Yes.
Do you think? We talked about it before. What are the chances they introduce women's mid-card title for the draft? Now we're talking.
You see, that would be really awesome. I think there's a much more likely scenario that kind of gets introduced after like a little bit later on. I don't think that's gonna come right now, honestly.
Yeah,
but it happening in NXT is very, very promising.
It has to happen on the main roster
Yeah.
if it's happening in NXT. And then we'll end with this. Do you think are there any main like major like superstars you think are swapping brands? Jade Cargill, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. We said Cody and the Judgment Day and Bailey.
Yeah, so I mean Cody's been on Raw, even though he's SmackDown, but I think they want Cody on Raw, so I can't imagine switching Seth, dude.
Yeah, but you're gonna kind of need someone to replace Cody on SmackDown.
Cody
Unless
hasn't
they're
been
just,
on SmackDown
I mean, he's been doing both.
for like a month. Like
Do you think
you know what
they
I
could also
mean?
just
Like
have like the Bloodline is on like SmackDown mostly?
yeah. I think they'll do.
I think
Trying to,
Charlotte gets drafted.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, I think there's a good chance Gunther goes to SmackDown. Just because I think they're like more in the way that it's like a fresh start for him after losing the IC title.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Because then
I could see
he would look good. He would look
Yeah.
good with Big Gold 2.0.
He would. I could see Randy going to Raw, honestly.
Yeah.
Trying to think of people I could see. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think my big major prediction is that Judgment Day goes to SmackDown, Cody goes to Raw, Bailey goes to Raw,